Hi everybody, welcome to another Facebook Live here on the Create and Craft Facebook page. Now today I've been really excited about bringing this live to you because over the weekend, which was on Saturday, and in the US you got a sneak peek of this on the Friday, but on Saturday it launched this in the UK and you all absolutely loved it. So of course it's the new Screen Sensation unit with those beautiful screens that we saw on the show, were absolutely gorgeous. But today I just wanted to take a bit of time to be able to go through with you, because on the show sometimes it's quite hard to answer all the questions because we might not have got time to fit them all in. But this is a really good opportunity for anybody, if you're new to screen printing or maybe you have just purchased the screens, that you can actually be able to ask some questions that you might be unsure about, or really just sit back and enjoy watching some screen printing and learning a bit more about it. So we had a few questions during the show, which I covered, but we'll go through it all again. But just to show you what the actual Screen Sensation unit is, and now this is the new version of the unit. It's got a really nice fresh look, and this is what you get in the packet. So that just looks like a gift to me. It just looks absolutely, it's gorgeous, it's fresh. We've got the new grey look, and of course, instantly as soon as you see this, you see what you get with it, and you also see what you can create with it straight away. And of course, it comes with all our essential tools to get you going on your screen printing journey. In here you can see you've got your mixing bowl, you get one of the frames with it, you also get the squeegee and the small squeegee, and of course the big Screen Sensation unit. So it's a really good offer, because when this unit first ever launched, the price of it was far higher than it is now. And there is still some left on the Create and Craft website, so if you haven't yet, do check that out, because at createandcraft.co.uk or .com, you'll be able to find it on there. And the bundle of the unit itself with the inks, and I think you do get an extra frame in there, do check it out. I think it's about $89.99, and it's an amazing deal because I think the inks on their own are around $49.99, so you're getting an amazing saving in there. So you've got a really good offer, so definitely check that out. And of course the screens that I'm going to be using in this live today, you will still be able to get a few of those on the actual website as well at Create and Craft. So check out those. But of course we were meant to be bringing this to you as well on Sunday, but because we had such an amazing response to it, we didn't have enough left to put on a show for you. So grab it while you can, because there's some still on there, and it is a beautiful collection. And these screens, the design and the elements in the design are beautiful. I've never seen any screens like it before, which is I think why you all just grabbed it up and it went so quick. So I'm going to be answering any questions that you have. So hi everybody, hi Lee Walker. Hi, thanks for joining me. Hi Sylvia, we've got Elizabeth. Hi everyone. Oh, thank you everyone for joining me so far. It's lovely to see you all. But this is a really nice opportunity, because on the show, of course, when I'm doing the demonstrations, when I'm with the presenter as well, sometimes it's harder to fit in all of those questions. So it's a really good opportunity for that. And of course, sometimes it's nice to just do a bit of crafting with you all as well. So I really enjoy it. And I had a few questions after the show from a few of you, and some people said, how do I actually load up my screens? And I did it on the show, but it was probably quite fast paced. So this is a really good opportunity to go through that, because some people will get the screen out of the packet, and this is our beautiful one. This is a Mother's Love screen that we had on the show. If I held it up behind a bit of white cardstock, you'll be able to see it a little bit better there. So you can see the screen. I have used this one about 20-30 times now, so you can see it's had some use. But no matter how many times you do use your screens, whether you do 100 to 500 prints with a screen, if it starts to ever get stained, you still get the exact same fresh, crisp print every time with your screen. So I've got a question here from Sharon Noble. Do the new screens work with the green Screen Sensations? Yes, of course they do. That's a really good question actually, because these new screens that we brought out, a lot of people were skeptical whether they would be able to use with an existing unit. So maybe if you are already a screen printer and you've bought into the Screen Sensation universe before, you most definitely can use these screens with the old unit, and you can use the new unit with your old screens. So there's complete versatility with this, and we bought the new unit so that any new screen printers could start to invest in this, because really it is like a business in a box, so you can start this journey yourself. But of course, maybe if you've already got one of the units and you want to do a bit of crafting with the grandchildren or the kids, or in the summer holidays when we can do, it would be an amazing experience for you to be there with your Screen Sensation unit and letting the little ones join in as well, because it is a family safe product. It's perfectly safe for everybody to use. It's all non-toxic and water-based, so really there's nothing you can't do with it. So going back to the screen, sorry I went off on a bit of a tangent there, I tend to do that quite a lot when we're not on air. But this is one of our screens, this is the Mother's Love. Now it's a beautiful one because you can see you've actually got the artwork imagery inside it. Now there was 5 of this set, so do check out the website for any more that we may have left on there. I know I did see I think it's the zebra one I saw, and I did see the leopard one on there actually yesterday, so fingers crossed they're still on there to get your hands on, and they're at a really good price. They're $19.99 each, so do check those out, because maybe if you just want one to go with the collection you may have previously had, it could be a lovely addition to any of that. So let's have a look. We've got some lovely comments. Oh, thank you, Sharon. That's I'm really glad you got the response you wanted. So any feedback, anything you want to ask me, just go straight ahead. Even if it's something that might not necessarily relate directly to these particular screens or this unit, maybe if you've had some issues previously down the line of screen printing, you want them solved, send those questions straight to me. So we've got a message. Let's have a look. Sorry, sometimes the comments go up and down and I'm squinting to try and see. So we've had a lovely question there from, is it Valerie? I think it is. I can't quite see the name from here. I'm trying to squint. But Valerie, I think it is. Sorry, do excuse me if I do pronounce any of these names incorrectly. I'm trying my best. But you've asked how you clean the screens. That's actually a really good question. And it's a really important part of the process to cover, because with your screen printing, once you've actually inked up your screen and you've done a print with it, which I will show you how to do all of this, you want to put it into cold water. Now I've got a basin next to me and that's filled with cool water. You don't want any hot water in there at all, and you don't want any cleaning solutions. Some people, I have heard that they've used washing up liquid, or maybe they've used a sponge. I would never recommend to use anything other than cool water and just your hands to wash it with, because it is such a water-based ink. It will come off really easily with just cool water. And of course, with inks, the tool that we use to actually dry this is heat. So if we use hot water, you're going to increase the drying time of your ink. So it's a really good question to ask. But once you've put them in a basin of water, or you can put it into the sink with the cold water running onto it, just smooth over it with your hands like this as the water runs into it, and you'll start to see it all just comes away. Now it's perfectly safe for the Screen Sensation ink to actually go down the plug hole, so you've got no worries at all there with any drainage issues. It's water-based, so it's going to go straight down there, it's non-toxic. And what you want to do once you've taken it out of the sink, let it just quickly drip dry, get most of the droplets off, and just lay it flat on a tea towel, or if you've got a drying rack, hang it over there if it's just at a slight bend. You don't want to crease it, but let it air dry naturally, and that can take it up to about 20 to 30 minutes in a warm room. If you're lucky enough to be in the sunshine, I would say you can pop it in the conservatory or on a windowsill, let the sun have a bit of warmth to it. I wouldn't put it directly outside because you won't want it blowing around or anything like that, but in a warm room, about 20 to 30 minutes, it'll dry naturally. You don't want to apply any heat guns or hair dryers to it, because you don't want to damage your screens at all, because they work on a cool basis. So a really good question, so thank you so much for that, because it's a really good, important piece to cover. See if I've got any other questions. We've got one from Elizabeth here. So how many prints did you get from one pot of the ink? Thank you, Elizabeth. That's actually a brilliant question. And honestly, none of the questions are stupid, because when I first started screen printing, I asked everything. I wanted to know all about it, what I could do with it, where I could put it. So there's nothing that's unaskable, if that's a word. But screen printing, so the Screen Sensation pots, the amount of prints you can get out of this, actually here at the Innovation Hub, Kasha was doing prints with this, and we thought we'd test it, and you can definitely get 130 prints out of one pot, but Kasha managed to get 145 prints from one pot of this ink. So it goes a really long way, and of course you're getting 5 inks in that bundle, so you've got hundreds and hundreds of prints you can do. But of course, once you've done one screen print, you can go straight back in and do another one without having to wash the screen. So you can get a bit of a production line going, so you put your screen down, you drag your ink through, and you can do another one. So the ink is reusable. You don't have to wash your screen every time, unless you wanted to maybe change design or colour. So yeah, you're looking up to around 145 prints if each time you've done your squeegee, you're scraping the ink back into the pot. So it uses very little amount actually when you're printing with it. It's making sure it all goes back in here, and that's where you get the usability from it and the efficiency, because it's been designed to be a product that will not separate when it's put back in the pot, so you can get those multiple prints from it. So that's a really good question, thank you for that. So we've got another question here from Create and Craft. How much ink should we use on each of the screens when printing? Brilliant question, and why don't I show you? So I'm going to go through that and also the question of loading up the screens. So I'm taking this one here and I'm going to grab, let's have a look, I'm going to grab my frame here, which slides into the Screen Sensation unit. And I'm using the back of it because you can see on one side we've got the Screen Sensation logo. So in this I'm probably going to cover quite a few questions, but I'll go through all of them as I take those steps. So on the back of the screen frame here, you can see I'm working onto this side because I've not got my logo on it. And on the other side as well, I do have runners that go up either edge. So I want to work on the other side of it, and we're going to take our screen. Now, if maybe this is your first time ever screen printing, and you know that you definitely want your print facing this way when it's done, you're going to need to flip it. So it might confuse you a little bit at first, thinking, well, which way is it going to come out once I've taped it up? But the easiest way to ever do that is remember that as you load your frame back in, it's going to be this way up, like that. So if you put your screen the exact way you want the print to come out, place it over it like that, and then flip it over. So you know that that's the way it's going to line up, because there's been numerous times where I've put maybe a t-shirt in there, or I've put a bag or an apron and I've printed it back to front or upside down. And with a print like this, it wouldn't necessarily matter if it was back to front because they are flippable, because it's only that type of design where it's not lettering that's backwards. So you're okay with that, but maybe if you wanted it a certain way round, just always remember before you've put your ink through to double check that the garment or the card that you're printing onto, it's in the right direction. So to load up your screens, you want to take your Screen Sensation tape. Now this is the only tape I would ever recommend using with your screens. It's been specifically developed to work with your screens. And it may look like masking tape, but what this is, it's actually waterproof, very strong adhesive tape. And what this does is it relieves gently from your screens, meaning it's not going to damage your screens, but it will clamp them in place when you're dragging your inks through. So you're not going to get any bleeds from there. But of course, at the same time, it's reusable. So with normal masking tapes, after you'd peel this off, the tackiness reduces, whereas I've done up to 20 prints with this and used the same tape every single time. So it's a really good product to invest into, and there's 20 meters on here, so you're going to get absolutely hundreds of prints out of one roll. So you're going to take your tape, and you can start to eventually gauge how long they need to be. So I just take the tape up to the screen and measure it just by eye. But of course you can, if you want to, do it in small sections. So I'm taking a screen and I'm popping the tape just across the top like that, and you want to smooth it down. Now, what some people do, it depends, every crafter is different in the ways that we work, and that's absolutely fine, so do whichever way you want to. But some people take a little bit of the tape and attach it into the two bottom corners, whereas I take another full piece and go straight across the bottom. Now I do that just because I find it easier, but some people may find it easier maybe if you just want the two pieces in the bottom corners, and that's absolutely fine to do it that way. Just as long as you're making sure your screen lays flat and you're not getting any wrinkles in there, you know you're going to get an absolutely great result when you're dragging your ink through there. So I'm going to flip it round here, so I've gone from top to bottom to side, and I'm going to take another piece going straight across the top. I'm going to go across our screen again, and notice here, and if I can show you here, you'll be able to see that of course the tape is half tacked onto the screen and half of it's going to go onto the frame. So when I'm looking overhead, I can start to see where the screen is through my tape, and I start to apply the pressure there first, so I'm actually sticking it to the screen without sticking it to the frame yet. So that's still tacky, but it's adhered to my screen, and that way I can actually pull it and get the tension that I require. So I'm pulling that away like that, and that's giving me the tension that I need. And when I first ever loaded up one of these screens, I made a mistake, and I thought, oh well, that's it, I can't do screen printing, I've loaded my screen wrong and I'm not going to get the hang of it. And it's so easy to fix. It's something that you wouldn't ever expect that would be such an easy quick fix, because it looks like you've started to do it wrong, but there really is no wrong way of doing it. But I'm going to show you how we fix the error that I encountered. So we're going with the tape across the top again and smooth it down. So I've created the error, which I did first time. And if I can show you, it may just show up on here actually. If I lay it flat, the light might catch it. Ever so slightly, you can see here, there's a little crease. And it's just a little bobbly crease, which would mean if I laid that flat, I may get a slight bleed in this area. So what you need to do is lay your screen flat again. And in that corner where I applied that tape, all you do is peel it up, And of course it stays tacky to the screen, and you want to apply pressure just with your fingers and thumbs, drag it over and stick it down. And that's now created tension, so it's almost like a drum. So you can see on there, it's like a drum texture, but it's not essential that it has to be really tight. It just has to be flat, but you're going to get the best results you can do when you've got it nice and flat. So the next step is loading it into the unit. And the way I work with the Screen Sensation unit, everybody's different, but I open it like a book. So I want my Screen Sensation unit flat, open it like a book. You don't want to open it like a briefcase, like this, because you're sliding your frame in this way, and then when you drag your ink down, you don't want to pull the screen back out of the unit. So putting it that way eliminates that problem instantly. But it was designed this way for ease of removing your screen and putting your screen in there. So it's a really innovative design that allows you to efficiently print quickly, but also easily and cleanly. So if I take the screen, you can see I flipped it over now. So the tape was on one side, we've flipped it over, and we've got the unit logo on the other side. That's the indicator that we're screen printing and we're away to go. So we pop the frame straight in, and it slides in with these little runners. So you can see me sliding it in there. If I take it back out, you can see it just glides in really easily, and you can see the grids through there. That's the amazing thing about these screens, is they're almost translucent to the point where you can actually see the medium that you're printing onto, meaning that you're not going to get any errors or mistakes because you can line it up to the garment or whatever it is you're printing on. So I'm just going to take some cardstock. For this is, I think, 200 GSM cardstock, and it's 12 by 12. And I'm going to pop it onto my unit here, which is a perfect working size. It's about 14 by 12 inches, which is a very familiar size for us crafters. It's a size that we like to work with, so it's not a platform that's alien to us, which I think is great, and it's all been thought of in mind when this was designed. So I'm going to take a bit of my tape and tack down my paper. Let's have a look. Have we got any more comments coming in? Let's see. I don't want to leave anyone out. Have a look. So each time any comments do come through, I'll be sure to answer them. So anything else, do let me know. So I've put my medium down and my screen's folded on. So now we're going on to about the ink usage, because we did have the question about how much ink to use. So I'm going on with my black Screen Sensation ink, and this comes in my bundle of 5. So you can see here that there is the bundle of inks. Sorry, I say 5, there's 6 there. Why am I saying 5? With 6 inks. So we've got our extender, white, yellow, red, blue and black. And your extender is an amazing ink because that's a non-pigmented ink. So it's not got a colour to it, but it dries translucent. So you can drag this through your screens, and then you can put your embossing powders on and actually heat emboss with it, which is an amazing technique. And if I've got time, I will show you that because it's exquisite. It's a lovely technique. So I'm going to get on and do some printing. So the ink usage, really good question. Take the top off and use the Beechwood strips that come with your Screen Sensation unit. And I'm just going to push this back out of the way in case I blob any ink on there. And you want to take it give it a good stir first. Give it a really nice stir. And let's have a look. So other surfaces to print on, that's a really good tip actually. Thank you for that question. So when you're printing, of course, I'm doing this onto cardstock, but there's no reason why you can't have a go on any surface you can think of. So I've printed on leather, fabric, cardstock, cardboard, cork. You can do it onto a bag, an apron. You can do it onto glass. Now, glass is an amazing technique, and printing onto glass just gives a beautiful, delicate finish. So on the show, I printed onto a glass chopping board. And the way I did that is I printed onto the reverse of the glass, which meant that then I could chop away on the front of it. But if you are printing onto glass using your Screen Sensation inks, you want to make sure you're heat setting it. So just set it with a heat gun on glass, but then if you wanted it to be washable on glass, put a layer of varnish over it. So you just go to your local DIY store and buy an acrylic varnish or a dishwasher safe varnish. But the Screen Sensation ink on glass is dustable. So if you do it on a mirror or you do it on a glass vase for decorative purposes, it's perfectly wipeable. You're not going to have a problem with that. But if you want it to be washable, give it a varnish. But any of the Screen Sensation inks, when placed onto fabric, become washable once they're heat set. So you want to actually put it onto your, once you print it onto your fabric, when it's dried, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes, but you can speed it up with a hairdryer, flip it over and on an ironing board, take an iron to the reverse of the print, and that way you can actually heat set that ink. And the way to actually know what temperature of your iron to use is go to the temperature that your fabric will take. So if you're doing it onto a canvas, you want to make sure, and when you buy your fabrics, maybe if it doesn't have a tag on, always ask the supplier, what temperature threshold does this fabric have? Because that way you know you're not going to, one, burn it, but secondly, you know you're going to heat set the ink efficiently and it's not going to come off in the washing machine. Because of course, once it's heat set, you can pop it in the washing machine. 30 degrees is absolutely fine on a normal spin with your other clothes, and your ink won't come off there. It's going to be permanent. So it's a business in a box because you can create as many t-shirts and aprons as you want with it. So a brilliant product, so versatile. So I've taken my ink, and of course our ink is thixotropic, which means when it's stirred and becomes agitated, it activates. So if you ever notice the ink may have gone a little bit gloopy looking, it's perfectly normal. That's what the ink's body type is. And as you stir it, it becomes runnier and more fluid-like, and that means it's ready for printing. So I'm taking my beechwood strips, and you can see, you might be thinking I'm going to be using quite a lot of ink here, but it all goes back inside the pot. So taking the ink all the way across the top, I'm using big blobs for this, but I just want to make sure I'm putting enough ink in there to cover my design. So if I maybe only went up to there, I know that none of this design is going to get covered. So the ink needs to stretch the full width of that screen, because the squeegee won't push ink outwards, it pushes it towards the way I'm dragging it. So more ink across the side. And I'm going to be sure to add enough on here. And if any of my areas of my screen don't print, it's not a worry at all. You can instantly rectify that. So I'm taking my squeegee here. So I've got a question there from Stuart Dunnett. What's the strangest surface that you've printed onto? The strangest surface? Do you know, actually, polystyrene was the strangest surface, because I thought, not for a minute is it going to work, and it didn't. It actually looked really good, because the holes in between all the polystyrene, sort of when it's set into a mould, whether it's packaging for something, it missed out those areas purposely, so it gave me a really nice vintage effect. So screen printing onto polystyrene was the strangest surface I've done it onto, but in fact it was probably one of my favourite because it just looked so lovely. And of course you can then paint it. Polystyrene's a plastic, so you can paint it up, and your screen sensation inks don't peel off it, stay on there. So that's probably up there with the strangest one, but I'm sure there's many more I could think of. So I'm going to take my squeegee here, and of course this is designed in mind to go the full width of that screen design. So you want to take it from the top. I'm going to move my unit up a little bit and get my squeegee. You want to hold it at about a 45-degree angle, and you can see I'm using both hands there, and I've got my finger and I've got my two thumbs on the other side, and that's to apply even distribution of pressure. So I'm going to drag it down, and you want to apply a mild pressure, and you can see I lifted it up there before I got to the end of the design. So you can always go back in like that, and then take your smaller squeegee. So you can see I'm going to take this one here, which comes with your kit, and that's what this is designed for, is it's to go back over, and you can get all of your area printed efficiently, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is, before I actually show the print revealed, I want to just pop this to one side, because we'll show that to you, but I want to show you how you then get all your ink back in. So the question on how much ink do we used quite a lot, and I'm going to be honest about it. We used a fair bit, but watch this. It all goes back inside the pot, all of it. So scraping it right down, we're getting it on there until you've got a really minute, thin film layer of ink on your squeegee, which is practically nothing, if not a mil of ink then smeared on there. It's all gone back inside the pot, just like that. And of course then, take a baby wipe or a cleaning rag or anything like that to clean your screen sensation squeegees with, because you want to keep them nice and clean, but they're really easy to clean because they're made of a plastic which the ink doesn't adhere to, it just sits on. So you know you're going to get a really nice clean squeegee, and you can go back to print with another colour just like that. That's how easy it is to clean. So a really nice household product. So back to the print, let's reveal it. So I'm going to take up my screen, and we're left with a beautiful print there. How gorgeous is that? So I'm going to show you the print in just a second, but I'm going to show you how to unload your screen, because as much as this is beautiful, I want to show you how important it is in unloading your screens. Let's have a look. So we've got another question from Elizabeth. Is it always best to screen print from the top rather than from the sides? That's a really good question, actually. I probably didn't cover that in there, so my bad for forgetting that one, but thank you for asking that question. But when you're screen printing, it is always most important to always drag from the top to the bottom, always in one direction. unless you're actually going to miss any areas like I did, using the smaller squeegee to then patch up those areas, which is what it's designed for, because I thought it was more important to show you a print that may not necessarily go right first time, because if I was to do that and then you go home and maybe do a print and it hasn't gone right straight away, sometimes it can be a little bit, oh, well, that's not for me. And it definitely is for you because it's so easy to do. But always print from the top to bottom. Any areas you've missed, use your small one to patch it up and away you go. You're absolutely fine. And it doesn't necessarily matter with your smaller squeegee which direction you're doing that one in, because you're not putting a distributed pressure across the whole screen. So I do hope that makes sense. So thank you for that question. And what you're going to then do, if I take this screen, you can see I'm going to start peeling the tape off. So I'm going to drag it away just like that and applying tension to the tape so it's not curling up like that, and then I can save this. And I always save these hanging down underneath my desk. So I always end up looking like I've got loads of plants growing under my desk, but all it is tape that I'm saving from using my products, because I never like to get rid of it. But of course this will be perfectly usable now for my next screen print. So if I take that one off, and if you get any on your craft surface, I'm going to do this so I get ink on my surface. I'm going to show you how easy it is to clean up. So take that away, then the last screen just like that, take it away. And then I'm just going to sit this in a bowl of cool water, and then I'll be able to clean that down the sink straight after. But I'm going to leave it there just to soak, as the ink won't set when it's sat in there. So then I'm going to take my tape off, pop that down on the side, and then I've got a little bit of ink on my craft surface here, whether this is your worktop, whether it's your dining table, print anywhere you like, you know you're going to get a really nice safe product. And I've got a bit of black ink there, and you can see how easy it cleans up, just like that, and it's gone straight away. So your frame is then ready to be used straight after. So I want to see if we've got any more questions. So, can you use more than one ink colour on a print? Yes, of course you can, so let's do it. I'm going to show you how we do this. So it's a really fun and easy technique to be able to create rainbow effects with your ink. So I'm going to quickly load up a screen for you. So I'll put it this way around, and I'm going to use the zebra because I think this one's gorgeous. I absolutely love the zebra. Look at all the design in there. So many design elements. So I'm going to pop it down. I wish I could do this all day, to be honest, because I absolutely love showing how beautiful these products are and actually sharing the education, because I'm still learning with screen printing. So it's something I recently took up. Do excuse me, just had a sip of water. So it's something recently I took up actually here at the Innovation Hub and never looked back, because it really did just provide so much pleasure, screen printing, because it's therapeutic actually. Seeing the relief from a screen print is just, it's always one of them things where when you've revealed it, it's like a little wow moment. Oh, I don't think I even showed you, did I? I didn't go back to the print. So that was our print. Sorry about that. I showed you the screen being removed and then actually show you the final print. But look how crisp and clean that print is. It's gorgeous. And that, of course, can be done as a repeat pattern on bedding. You could do this on a blind. You could do this on a canvas top. You could do it on a bag, sorry, a canvas bag, and you could do it on a top. Absolutely everything. But of course, you could do this on glassware. So imagine that around a beautiful vase or on a glass chopping board or a plate. You could make a kid's party set with this, make bunting, or you could do napkins, all sorts with that. So there's loads to do with it. So I'm going to take some more of my tape, the ones I've just used for that screen print, so I've still got my leftover pieces. And I'm adding tension to my screen. And we're going to go straight into the unit, just like this. And I'm going to take another piece of white cardstock because I want to show you all the colours popping through. I can't believe how fast time's gone actually. I feel like I've been talking to you for about 10 minutes and it's already like almost been half an hour. So I want to get this one done for you because I really want to show you the colours that you can get. So all of your, oh, we've got another question as well. How do you mix colours, i.e. red and white? Thank you so much for that question. So what I'm going to do is show you that now before I do this, because it's a really important question. So I'm glad we've covered that. So with the mixing pot that comes with your Screen Sensation unit, it's a silicone bowl, so it's perfectly washable, and you can wash this with warm water and cool water. But the amazing thing is if you mix your inks, and maybe you've mixed too much ink, save it, because then you can use it in another pot and keep going back to it. So if I take some of my yellow, so these beechwood strips as well, once you've used them and cleaned them, they might stain the colour of the ink, but they're perfectly fine to use again in another ink. Don't worry about that. but they're eco-friendly because they're made out of beech. So with your inks, of course, mixing it again, if you wanted to make a colour, use more of the lighter colour and add a small amount of the darker colour in, because the darker colours, obviously all these inks do have a really deep pigment, but you want to make sure that you get in, you don't want to overpower it straight away. So if I take another stirrer here into my red, and I'm going to take, in fact, I'm going to take an even smaller amount of that. So I popped it just at the side next to it. So I don't know if you can see that there. I've got my red and I've got, oh, there we are. Ooh, there we are. We can see it, red and yellow. And we'll take another stirrer. So have a look. Take this one and I'm going to mix the two together. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. We're going to mix them and they won't separate. The water based, so they bind together really well, and I'm making an orange. And of course, we're giving you this set of colours because you can mix as many colours and so many different colours with this set, because of course we've got the primaries in there. So we keep going with it, and that's made me a really lovely orange colour. And of course, depending on whatever screen print you're wanting to do, or even if you're just wanting to paint with this, you can watercolour with it, so you can actually tone it down and use it in your painting. So if you've got a tiny bit left and you thought, well, that's not really enough for me to print a screen with, save it and you can add it to your paintings. Or maybe if you do mixed media, put it onto a background, onto a canvas, and it's going to combine with all your other products as well, because it's non-toxic. It's not going to mix, and it's not going to separate. So that's how we mix the colours together. So really good question, that. So we've got another question there from Wendy Jameson. So thank you ever so much for your question, Wendy. They look amazing. They do look amazing, don't they? Thank you. When you print onto fabric like a bag or a t-shirt, do you still wash it as normal? Yes, of course. So really good question, because some people might think, do I just put it in on its own? If it's heat set from the reverse with the iron, put it on as normal, as you would not wash any normal garments, of course, to the temperature that you usually take. But 30 degrees is a recommendation to wash your Screen Sensation inks at, because it's going to wash your clothes, but at the same time, you're not going to damage anything. So 30-degree wash, normal cycle, absolutely fine to do that with. So I've got my card that I've stuck down inside there. So thank you for that question. I do hope that helps. I've got my zebra screen, and I'm going to take that orange actually that I've just done, because I really like that colour. I'm going to start to add that to the top. So we're going all the way around on here. Let's have a look. Oh, so we've got another question here from Laurelie. Thank you so much for your question. A family member wants me to screen print her some bedding. How do I deal with the amount of fabric a single duvet cover? Really good question actually. So if you're doing a really big sized print, or you want to cover a really big surface, let me just leave this here for a second, because I'm going to show you. So let's pretend that this screen here is loaded up and we've got a screen in here. Okay, so we're pretending we've got a screen in there. What you're going to want to do is, if you've got a big surface or a big table, lay out the piece of fabric that you're working on, and once your screen's attached to this, you can use it without the unit if you want to. So once you've built up the confidence of using the unit and knowing how the system works, you can actually take your frame to a surface, and what you would then do is let's say this here is my fabric, this plastic here is my fabric, and we've got our screen on. I would pop it down like that, and I would have attached my fabric to my table with a bit of my tape, and then I would go on the corners of this, just like that, which is really easy to do. Of course, pillowcases is really easy to do because they go in the unit, but if you're wanting a really big piece of fabric, that way then I can drag my squeegee through there, and it's not going to move my frame. It's attached to the surface I'm working on. So you can actually do this onto a wall as well. So really big pieces of fabric, then peel off the tape, just like that, and then you can let it quickly dry, and then you move on to the next area print on like that. So a really good question, because I didn't get to cover that in the show because I only printed onto small surfaces to be able to show you. So it's a really good point. And I'd love to be able to do another one of these videos, because I think there's still so much more that we can cover with Screen Sensation, because there really is so much to share and so much to teach. So I hope that helps. But of course, use your frame and tack it down and move it across, and you don't have to wash the screen each time you do that. Keep on going. And what I would say is, if you were to keep printing with the same screen with the ink until you start to get a bleed, or until any ink starts to seep underneath any area of the design, that's when you need to change your screen or clean it. because that's when you've done that many prints, maybe maybe a little bit of ink has started to go through, but that usually only happens after maybe 20 to 25 prints. So you can get a really good production line going of multiple prints before, of course, eventually you do need to clean your screen, and that's good for your screen as well. So back to this screen here, which is a good point, because then I've just done this and showed that maybe if someone's just knocks on the door, I've put a bit of ink on here. It's not a problem. We can still go straight back into it. I'm going to take a bit of the red and pop it on here and put it just in between some areas because I want to just get some really nice prints. And then I'm going to take the blue. And once all this ink has been scraped off the squeegee, I could save this and make another colour. So just think of all the colours that you can make. Sorry, I'm just grabbing another palette stick here. I want to do this really quickly to show you. I'm going to take some of the blue. I did stir all of my inks before this video, but it's always good to show how they react once they've been stirred. So pop a bit of blue here, a blob of blue there. I'm going to take some blue and pop it here. So yeah, I'm speeding up a little bit now, but hopefully. I'm going to take another clean one and then just mix a line all the way through there like that. And then let's see what we get. This is the exciting bit, because you never know what you're going to get. You're just going to get a different piece of artwork each time. And I just want to check if I've had any more questions. Let's have a look. Oh, I will keep checking. And as well, after the video, I will still keep checking to see if there's any questions, because of course, not all of you can get a chance to watch the video whilst it's live. So we'll be keeping on track of that. So here's the squeegee, dragging it straight down, and we are getting a mix of inks going through. So I'm going to take my little squeegee again, which silly me, didn't clean from last time. It doesn't matter. I'm going to take it and drag it through, just like that, and I'm going to show you what we get. Oh, wow. Love it. Absolutely love that. We fold this back down, push it away so you can see. That is a mix of your inks. How gorgeous is that? So that's using the orange that I made. We've got a bit of the red in there and a bit of the blue. And it looks like it's created like a sunset in the background, the way it's actually mixed in with the trees here. So of course you most definitely can mix your inks together. And if you're going to combine all the inks together, more or less you're going to end up with like a brownie colour. That's a really good colour to have because it's not in your bundle. But if you're going to mix just one or two colours, you're going to get a different unique colour, whether it's a purple, whether you're going to get a green, or you're going to get a pink, or you're going to get a... Because of course, use your white as well with any of your colours to tone them down, make a pink with your red, and of course you can make your products go further with that. And of course, if you want to pale down any colours, like the blue, make it a baby blue, use your extender, as it will lengthen the life of the colour of that ink and make it a paler colour, which is a beautiful technique to do. So that's just one way you can mix your colours together. So that's just on cardstock, but imagine this. If I've got this here to show you, imagine then cutting it out, and then turning it into a card. It's just a card blank, and then of course you can add your own sentiments to these. So really quick, easy and efficient way to screen print. I'm going to show you a few other pieces I've got here. So if I grab hold of, this one here is a pillowcase I've done, and this is just using black screen sensation ink, and that is using all of the screens that were in the show. But how gorgeous is that? That'd look absolutely lovely, and it's really modern and on trend. And you can see what I've done there is use the screen sensation tape, and I actually masked off all of the pattern, because all of the screens you get the animal print pattern that goes with it to go all the way around the edge. So I actually masked that off with my tape, and then I just got the animals coming through. But then of course, after you've done this, you could go in with your fabric pens, or you could go in with your screen sensation inks and paint in all of the scene. So I just think that's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. And of course, imagine this on a bed with all of the colours that tone with it, and you could do a border across the bottom of the duvet. And I've just got a question there, another question from Wendy. And is it a particular cardstock that you use? Do you get it from Create and Craft? Yes, of course. So the cardstock that I've used is from Create and Craft. I think this one is the 12 by 12. I will double check on the exact one of that. I think it may have been I will double check on the cardstock for you and get back to you on that. But you can get it on Create and Craft. It is just a 200 GSM one. You can print on many different weight of cardstocks. You can print on construction board. You can print on 120. You can print on 300. I always tend to go for a slightly thicker cardstock because then I'm not going to get any saturation from my ink, so it's not going to go through to the side. But if you are using a medium such as fabric and you don't want your ink to go through to the side, put a piece of paper underneath it or in between it if it's a cushion cover, so you're not going to get any bleed going through, because some fabrics like this are much thinner, whereas say this one, this calico, is a much thicker fabric. Like I've done the elephant on there, that's a much thicker fabric, but it's not bled through onto the side, so it's actually being able to take all of the ink on the surface. So there's been some really good questions in there, and I've just seen a comment from Sandra, and you've never tried screen printing. Honestly, give it a go. You're gonna love it. I remember when I was in college, like 8 years ago, I think it was, maybe 5. Oh, I can't remember. It was quite a few years ago, and I saw the screen printing machines they had there, and they looked like they were from the Victorian times. They were huge, massive screens, and they were like 4 foot square, and they'd have these massive mesh screens fitted in there with clamps and screws, and I absolutely loved seeing it. But I knew I could never really take it up as a hobby because I couldn't screen print in my own home. So this unit allowed all of that to happen, because I can screen print in my kitchen, my bedroom, my craft room, my dining room, on top of my oven, if I wanted to. There's no way you can't screen print, but with the old systems, you couldn't. So if you've never tried it before, it's a really inexpensive craft to get into. And once you've got the unit and you've got your inks, away you go. It's down to you, whatever print surface you want to print onto. Just make sure you've got your tape. But you will find your own ways of printing once you've started to develop the way of using the unit, because there's no skill or technique required with this system. It really is all about how to use the unit and how to use the tools, and away you go. Because I'd never used it before, and the first print I ever did, I was just completely blown away by it, because it's just an unbelievable sensation that you get from using the screen sensation unit. So it really is an amazing craft technique. So please do give it a go, or maybe if you've got a friend that's got one, give it a go, see if you like it, and I'm sure that you will, and get hooked on it like I did. So thank you ever so much, everyone, for joining me today. I've really enjoyed it, and drop down any more questions you may have later on in the video. But thank you ever so much. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.